If you're watching this video shortly after its release, then that means we're very close to the Origins DLC. On paper it seems like it's going to be a major expansion with 4 new hypothetical routes, new weapons, new skills, new companions, and a new Dynasty Warrior being made unique for the first time. But this video isn't about any of that. No, this video is about the little things. This video is about small quality of life improvements and minor features that I think would help add an extra layer of polish and optional player preferences to the Origins experience. And these are the kind of minor additions that you would normally see added in a free update to the base game or released alongside a DLC. So even if you don't actually buy any expansion, you'd still get these kind of improvements. Just to be clear, I'm not predicting that any of these suggestions will actually be added to Origins along with the DLC. These are simply improvements that I personally would have added if I was in charge of the game. So let's dive in. Quality of life improvement number 1 would be to add a dedicated free mode menu. In Origins, if you want to replay a battle, this is the process that you have to go through. Travel to a town, open a menu, head to the inn, open the story menu, and then filter to battles to make them easier to find. This alone is somewhat poor design from an ease of use perspective, but it gets worse because some of the stages have rather generic names like Battle of Po Yung and Second Battle of Po Yung, so it can be difficult to remember exactly which battle is which. And while long-time fans of the series will know most of the iconic stage names, remember that Origins was an attempt to bring in new fans who don't know the stage names off by heart in the same way that series veterans do. So to improve things, I think the game needs a dedicated free mode menu that can be accessed from anywhere without having to go to town and sifting through multiple menu screens, and importantly, a map preview should be displayed while hovering over each particular stage. I've made a quick mock-up here to show what I mean. So for example, if the player is hovering over the Battle of Hulao Gate on the list, then the stage map and officer starting positions should automatically be displayed as well. The officer starting positions are particularly important to show, since Origins does have quite a lot of stage reuse. So showing the starting positions will help remind players of exactly which battle they're about to play. Overall, I think a dedicated free mode menu would be good for everyone by making it easier to simply replay battles and by helping newer players remember which stage is which. Quality of life improvement number 2 would be to let us buy many items at once and stockpile more of them. This one's simple. Some of the items like the bronze hand gong or the writ of strategy can only be bought in small amounts, and you can only keep up to 9 of them in the player's inventory. This means that if you're done with the story and are simply replaying battles, then you have to keep going from town to buy these items, and you have to do so once every few battles to restock, since you can only hold a small number of them at any given time. This isn't adding anything positive to the experience, so a simple quality of life improvement would be to allow us to buy many items at once, and greatly increase how many we can keep in our stockpile. These next 3 suggestions are firmly in the realm of personal preference, and that's why they're all presented as toggle options so that everyone can be happy. I'm a big supporter of letting players customise their experience in single player, non-competitive games so that they can mould it to their personal taste, and I do wish more game developers shared this mindset. The first of these and third overall suggestion is to add an option to disable the gameplay camera cuts. So while playing Origins, especially when large forces clash, control of the camera can be frequently taken away from the player. I personally find this irritating because more than once these camera cuts have messed up my input timings, or in the case of large force charges, they can ruin the moment of impact between 2 armies like we see here. Instead of the player getting to experience the 2 forces colliding, as we can see the camera cuts to an enemy officer right before impact and ruins the moment. I know I'm not the only one who dislikes these camera cuts, So a good addition would be a new toggle option so that the player can decide for themselves if they want these camera cuts to happen or not. This next one is for immersion and difficulty fans out there. A suggestion number 4 is to add a toggle option to disable the glow around troops. Sometimes the battles in Origins feel more like techno raves because of all the orange glowing troops. So if you're a fan of immersion, you might like having an option to simply disable the glow effect. The glowing is obviously there for gameplay reasons, as it clearly telegraphs to the player when they should use their special counter skills. So by disabling the glow, this would also naturally increase the difficulty, as the player would then have to learn the actual attacks instead of just reacting to the glowing light bulbs ahead of them. This could even be separated into 2 separate toggle options to give the player more choice. One toggle option for the troops glow, and the second for the enemy officer glow. And this third toggle option suggestion is definitely the most niche and minor of the bunch, but it's something that has low-key bugged me about Dynasty Warriors for over 20 years, so I'm gonna throw this one out there for all 10 of us who would like to see this change. So suggestion number 5 is to add a toggle option to allow allies to defeat the enemy commander. So if you haven't noticed, once an enemy commander reaches a low health threshold of about 10%, they completely stop taking any damage from anyone but the player. This is especially noticeable in Origins where ridiculous, comical situations like this can happen, with 1,000 soldiers all attacking the enemy commander at once, and he simply won't take any damage at all. I personally find it a bit immersion breaking, knowing that this battle simply will not end until I personally go and land a final blow against the enemy commander, where he single-handedly defeats the entire ally army with his god mode enabled. But I do understand why the devs might make it this way. I assume that the devs think some players would be upset.
I was so close!
If they're not the ones to get to land the winning blow in every single battle. And maybe some players do feel that way, but not me personally. To me, disabling ally damage against the enemy commander simply hurts the feeling of being part of an actual army in a real battle. So by adding a toggle option so that the player can decide for themselves if allies can finish off an enemy commander, then everyone is happy. And I do want to be very clear that this is not about difficulty in the slightest. It's not about actually needing any help from allies. This is purely a small immersion based preference. This final suggestion could be considered both a quality of life improvement as well as a minor feature, as improvement number 6 is to let us start a fresh Ziloan while keeping certain unlocks from a previous playthrough. Have you ever considered starting a new playthrough, but then remembered how much of a grind it is to unlock all 50 bodyguards and their skills, so you don't bother? If so, then you're in the same boat as me. More than once I've considered starting a new playthrough to get a more difficult experience thanks to Ziloan's rank and stats being reset, but the amount of grind to get certain things puts me off it. So my suggestion would be to let the player start a fresh playthrough while having the choice of what to keep from a previous save. For example, you could keep the 50 bodyguards and their skills, or you could keep the weapons or the weapon skills, while having Ziloan's stats reset to default. This would let the player customise their repeat playthroughs and allow players to get a more difficult experience while eliminating some of the grind if they don't want as much of it again. So there we have it, 6 small quality of life and minor features that I think would add an extra layer of polish and player choice to the Origins experience. What do you think? Are there any other small, easily implemented changes that you think would improve the player's experience? Either way, with the Origins expansion just around the corner, I sincerely hope it was worth the wait and that you all have a fantastic time with it. Oh, and just one last thing. Whichever suit thought it was a good idea to add this big, dumb UI covering watermark to any footage captured on console, that is such Yuan Shu behaviour.
Without complaint. Let's end this. The enemy officer has been defeated.